Okay, everybody. So today we are discussing tactics to successfully manage your short-term rental properties remotely. And we've got a very special guest to help us with a tool, with a tactic that will help you to do so. So thank you for tuning in. As you know, this is the Boostly podcast, the podcast that gives you the tools, the tactics, the training, and most importantly, the confidence so you can go out there and work on your direct bookings. My name's Liam Carolan, and we're shining the spotlight today on Florian Hoven from KeyNest. He is the co-founder, and I'm not going to take anything away from KeyNest. I'm going to let him explain exactly what it is and what it does. So welcome along, Florian. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So can you give an introduction to yourself, where you are in the world, and what KeyNest is?
Absolutely. So essentially, we're a network of 4,000 to 5,000 locations where hosts, Airbnb management companies, service apartment providers, etc. Everyone really that manages properties can securely store their keys or their means, to access the property, and then can give remote access to them. So if you have a property up in Manchester and you live in London, you can basically store your key in the local KeyNest point, and then the guests can collect the keys there. The cleaner can go there, pick them up as well. The contractor, you name it. Just to really have a global network of locations that you can use to manage your properties remotely.
If I'm not going to invest necessarily locally, to me, if the market doesn't make sense, then how else can I make sure that people can get in for, say, big apartment buildings or places where I don't live? I just want to make sure that you don't want that problem where a guest can't get in, right? That's like rule number one. You don't want guests not to be able to get in and be seeking refunds or compensation. So before we dive more into KeyNest and what it does and how it does what it does, can you let us know, as the co-founder, how did this all come about? What is the history with it?
Yeah, so it actually came from a problem and from an experience problem as well. So my co-founder Mark and I were both Airbnb hosts, working in private equity in London. So we had very long hours, and it was very difficult, to host guests in different apartments. So we thought about different things. What can we do? So first of all, of course, we're trying to meet them and hand the keys over. But that was just such a frustrating process because either the guests were annoyed because we came a bit late, or one of us was late and something like that happened because of work or other commitments. But equally frustrating was when you leave work early, or you leave work just to meet your guests and then go back to work, and then they are late. It's not their fault, but you know how it is when you fly into London. It's quite hard to predict at what time you will be at the property. So it's just a terribly frustrating process for the guests, and for him, for his apartment, and for myself, for my apartment. So we experienced exactly the same frustrations. So we talked about it just randomly over lunch. And then, we thought about different ways on how to solve this problem. So he tried to install one of these lock boxes outside his property, and tried that, but wasn't really comfortable with the security. And also the neighbors immediately complained that they don't want to have a lockbox just outside the property, the apartment block. So that wasn't an issue. We were not ready and not prepared to invest a lot of money into a smart lock, especially because he had 2 doors, I think, that would have to be fitted, and I had 3 doors even. So that was also not an option. So we thought about respectively giving the keys to a neighborhood store. He gave it to a cafe, I think. I gave it to a convenience store close by, and that worked like a charm. So the guests went there, they got the keys. So we thought, okay, that's great. But him and myself, we were very nervous because we didn't know, did they have the keys? Did they actually get there? So you were texting the guests, hey, have you received the keys? Did you check in? So we spotted this gap in the market where you want to have this convenience of an existing network of stores where people can come and go and they are greeted by a friendly face, but you need technology behind it. You need, the tracking needs to be there. You need to know when a key was moved, and just having the peace of mind of knowing, being notified, oh, my guest has just received the keys, they have checked in, so I can relax. So we looked at the market. Airbnb was back in 2016. and it was doubling every year. But without a solution for the access problem, something was probably the only thing that short-term rentals were still missing to close the gaps to hotels with a reception desk, right? So yeah, we thought about it. We had the idea with stores, cafes, etc., and then just took us quite a few months to build the app. Yeah, and then we launched in London in end of 2016.
What sort of locations are these keys kept in then? So at the moment, how many did you say, about 4,000 or 5,000 locations? And on what sort of locations are they kept?
Yeah, so around 5,000. So we are in around 15 countries right now. So several European countries, from the UK, France, Spain, Portugal, Germany, etc. And we're also in the US, Canada, and Australia. And these locations, we're quite open to who we work with. So quite often it's small chains, it's often hotels as well, and they can be convenience stores. Just most important is the reliability and the opening time. So most of our locations are 24/7, but then afterwards we have brands we work with that have 500 stores with us roughly, and then we also work with people who own their only shop, but they are in a location that is highly demanded, and we've had this relationship for a long time. So we're very open to it as long as they are passing our vetting process and have great opening times, ideally 24/7.
When you switched from doing those meet and greets to having a key, were you worried about the guest experience at the time? And has it impacted guest experience, or are guests just okay with picking up the key from a third party location?
Yeah, it's a great question. We launched KeyNest because the guest experience, even without the technology, now a guest obviously needs to go and provide a code and everything we built behind it. But even back then, when we just started, guests loved it because they didn't have to tell us, will you be there at 7 p.m.? Please let me know if you're a bit delayed. Are you there at 8 p.m.? Now we told them it's a cafe or a store, a 2-minute walk away from the property, and don't worry about it. Just whenever you feel like going to the property, go there. If you want to stop to buy some groceries on the way, you can do it at the location as well. But if you want to stop by having some dinner before, you can come in whenever you want to. You don't need to tell me, which is just so much nicer as a guest, because you're not starting your holiday stressed because your flight is delayed and you're worried about, oh, I told my host I'm going to be there at 6, I'm going to be there at 7, and then you're delayed. And also, for example, versus lockboxes, which is most of our customers, as you can imagine, switching to us from these lockboxes. It's often that you're still greeted by a face. You're still going to a neighborhood store where you can pick up groceries, a bottle of wine, some food. You had a long flight, or ask them if you need something. Where's the closest cinema? Where's the closest pharmacy? And it's basically sort of a welcome, sort of a reception desk, our locations, which is always nice, right? It's nicer to be greeted by someone who's locally, we all know the Airbnb slogan, which I think they still use, of living like a local. And it's just a nicer start to your holiday, or your start to a city trip, to go somewhere where there's a face that you can ask a question if you need to.
What is the benefit that these locations get? Do they get any monetary benefit, or is it more just passing custom? How does it work?
Yeah, so that is a part of it as well. The biggest benefit for them though is just the extra footfall. So they do get tourists coming from all over the world, and yes, it's great for the guests to be able to pick up something, but that's also great for the store that they have people traveling from far, who are just happy to go somewhere and being able to buy the sandwich, buy the bottle of water, get the bottle of wine, as I said. So they mostly benefit from the extra footfall.
And for hosts who are considering this, so hopefully, somebody is listening to this just going, do you know what? I've been meet and greeting. I'm exactly that person who is having to finish work early, having to arrive 5 minutes after the guest's already there, which doesn't look good. How do they check if their location is available for KeyNest? Because I take it there may be some places where it's not yet available, but is there a place they can check?
Yeah, we're not everywhere yet. It's coming. But yes, for sure. So on our website, so if you go to keynest.com, you can look for your postcode, and all of our locations are there. So we're still opening at least 20, 30, 40 locations per month, often even more. And we always open them on demand as well. So all of our locations that we currently have, which is already a pretty full map, is added to by new locations, because we have customers saying, okay, great, I use you in this area or here, but we actually have a property, somewhere in a different city where we're not yet, or in a different part of town or something like that. And then it takes us around 2 to 3 weeks to open a new location. So we go out. Often we have these partnerships already in place. That's why it's quite easy for us. So we work with a chain that also has a store in that area. And then we just do our vetting, and then within 2 or 3 weeks, we can open a new location as well. And as I said, we get multiple requests a day, and always try to action them all as fast as possible. Sometimes it takes a bit longer, because most important is finding as I said, reliable location with great opening times. But yeah, normally the average is always 2 to 3 weeks.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Boostly podcast. Boostly like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.